How's it going? We are here to talk about how to get a highly sought after job in tech sales, even if you have zero experience. My name's Andrew Garcia. I've been an enterprise AE my entire career. The last 4 years of my enterprise AE career were spent at Salesforce as an enterprise seller. I love tech sales. I love teaching it. I love talking about it. And so reach out to me if you have any questions. You can find me on LinkedIn. But right now we're going to dive in. How to get a highly sought after job in tech sales, even if you have zero experience in sales. The idea here is that anyone can break in. It's just that people don't really know how. So we're going to talk about how, and we're going to start with mindset. All right. So there are some rules you need to be aware of as you try to break into tech sales. So rule number one is you are the product you're selling, and the hiring manager is the decision maker. Okay? You're the product you're selling, the hiring manager is the decision maker. What do I mean by that? I'm essentially asking you to act as if you're already in the sales cycle right now. You're selling your first product. You need to put your sales hat on and treat yourself like you're the product or service you're selling, and the hiring manager is the decision maker, which means you have to know what are the things the decision maker is struggling with. What are the problems the decision maker is trying to solve? They have open headcount on their team. There's a specific service they're looking for. There's a specific type of person they're looking for. They want this person to have specific traits, specific qualities, specific abilities and skills. What are those? For entry-level sales positions, a lot of it has to do with soft skills like grit, perseverance, persistence, the ability to communicate well. So the ability to learn quickly. These are things that you need to figure out as you're going after these roles. So you need to know what are the pain points that the customer is facing, and how can I satisfy those pain points? What are the solutions I bring to the table? Rule number one. Rule number two, you must learn how to be persistent. This is one of the biggest things I see is people that are new to sales. They feel a little shy, a little nervous. They feel like they're being pushy. You must learn to be persistent. At the end of the day, people are very busy. They're very, very busy, especially out in corporate America. And if you send one little email or one LinkedIn request or one LinkedIn DM, they might see it and say, I'll get to it later. And they don't. And so persistence is, I like to use the phrase, be pleasantly persistent. Persistence is having the fortitude to stick with something, knowing the value you bring, in this particular case, knowing the value you bring and saying to yourself every single day, I know I can do this job in tech sales, and I'm going to just have to show and prove to these people that I can do it. And part of it is being persistent. One reason why it's so important you're persistent in the job hunt is because you're going to have to be persistent in the job itself. Which leads me to number two. As you become better at being persistent, you need to understand that failure is just part of the game. You are going to fail. There are things that are going to go well in this job hunt and things that aren't, and you just need to be prepared for that. It's part of the game. Use it as a way to stretch your comfort zone. Stretch your mental muscles to help you understand and believe that as you go try new things, because this is a new thing, you're trying to break into a new career. As you go try new things, it's okay to fall, to stumble, to fail. It's important you get back up. Right back to the persistent thing. Like, I'm trying, I failed. I'm trying, I failed. Persistence is continuing to try over and over. And I'm going to show you, now we're going to get into the things, all right, so what do I try? What are the things I should be doing? So first is the mindset. You're the product. Be persistent. Failure is part of the game. Next is asking good questions. What does this mean? So what you need to be doing is you need to be preparing for the interview. The interview is the game in the application process. When you're applying for jobs, what's really happening is you're trying to get, first and foremost, to the interview and doing well in the interview. Why? Think about it from their perspective, from the people who are trying to hire a person for a specific role. They have all these people out in the world, and they're trying to figure out who would be the best person to fit this specific role. The best way to figure that out is to go talk to people. Well, we don't have enough time to talk to all the people for as long as we'd like, so we have a limited amount of time, and we have to concentrate our time to talking to the most qualified people. And when we have that time with them, we're going to ask them very pointed questions to figure out as quickly as possible, is this person a good fit for the role we have open? And so as the person who's going after the role, I know what they're looking for. I know they're largely looking for someone who has the characteristics of a salesperson, who knows the kinds of problems that we're solving for our customers, who knows when we win, why we win, who knows when we lose, why we lose, and who we lose to, and someone who knows what it takes to be good in this role. Now, they don't necessarily have to have these experiences themselves because they've never worked at our company. And we know that we're hiring for an entry-level role, which means it's okay if they don't have experience or they haven't sold before. But what they need to be able to show us is they have the sales aptitude. They have the ability to learn these things. And how are they going to show us those things in the interview process? Well, part of it is they're going to answer our questions well. Part of it is they're going to come ridiculously well prepared to the interview. And so what I recommend people do is you go reach out to future peers. Pause. What is a future peer? A future peer is if I'm going after a tech sales role to be a BDR and I want to work at Salesforce and I know there's an open position, an open BDR position on a Salesforce sales team, I'm going to go reach out to all the BDRs on that team and I'm going to ask them questions that will give me these answers. Right? I'm going to ask them questions that will help arm me for the interview I'm about to walk into. Those are your future peers. They're peers of yours that will be peers of yours in the future if you get the job. Okay? And so this is what you want to ask them and be prepared to know when you get your into the interview phase. All right? When you're reaching out to future peers, it's important that you present yourself well, that you prepare for these discussions, that you have an agenda, that you're sending solid calendar invites, and that you take control of these meetings, that you appear confident in your ability to run a meeting and to ask the questions that you need to prepare yourself for the interview. Because what you don't want to do is walk into these networking sessions with future peers and you ask a bunch of questions that aren't really that helpful, at least at first. Some questions that I hear people ask that aren't super helpful are things like, hey, so tell me about a day in the life of a BDR. You already know what a day in the life of a BDR is. It's the same for every BDR. You walk in, you make some cold calls, you do some training, you make some more cold calls, you book some meetings, you do more training. Like, it's the same. Like, BDR is an entry-level role. You're booking meetings and you're training. It's the same for everyone. So don't waste your time asking that question. What you need to be asking is, what are the best BDRs doing for this specific team? And what does your boss care about as BDRs are trying to impress the boss or trying to excel in their roles? Oh man, well, John is the BDR manager for this team and he really, really cares about people that track their metrics really well. Like, he cares about your ability to update Salesforce really well so that he can, he's a very records-driven, metric-driven person. If you're not very good at updating your own metrics and records, like, that's a no-go. Like, he does not like that. Ooh, if I'm interviewing with John next week, now I know this is something I have to speak to. How would you have found that out about John if you had not talked to someone on John's team? Right? These are things you can't find out on the internet, guys. You need to talk to people on the team. All right? So these are some of the questions. Hit me up if you have any questions about how to reach out to future peers and ask them good questions. The other aspect is you want to build champions. Pause. What's a champion? A champion in the sales world is someone who advocates for you on your behalf behind closed doors. So a champion is someone who says, hey, I just spoke with Andrew. This dude is solid. I think you should consider hiring him, John, for the open role on the team. That's a champion. That's someone who's advocating for me on my behalf behind closed doors, right? So our champions, as we go pursue a role in tech sales, are the future peers. They're other BDRs on the team. They're other colleagues. They're technical engineers. They're people we reach out to who have our back. They actually want to help you. They get a referral bonus. If you do well, they do well. So it's important you keep that in mind as you reach out to them and ask them questions. Also ask them, hey, would you be interested in helping me in the interview process? Whenever we have a cold call interview or a discovery interview, would you be able to help me with that? More than likely they will. because they're invested in, yeah, they get a nice referral bonus, but really what a lot of them want is just solid people on the team. And so they want to create more solid people to come on the team. All right, next. So now we've got all this information from all these future peers we've talked to. We have a really good idea of the problems they solve for their customers, what it takes to be successful on the team. We still haven't applied for the role, guys. We have not applied for the role yet. What you're going to do is you're going to take all this information you've developed and you're going to deliver a value proposition to the hiring manager. Again, let's say it's John. You're going to go up to John one day and you're going to say, look, John, you're going to message him on LinkedIn or an email or a cold call, and you're going to say, John, my name's Andrew. I've talked to Tina, to Lucy, to Jermaine, and to Billy on your team. I've also talked to Lupita, who's your technical engineer. I know that you have an open role on your team. I know the open role covers this territory. I know what's required to be very successful in this territory is someone that knows how to prospect into greenfield areas, someone that understands the customer's pain points, and someone that knows how to explain these common objections to customers. I know that when we win, it's typically for these reasons, and when we lose, it's typically for these reasons, and we typically lose to this competitor. I know it's going to take a lot of grit and perseverance to be successful in this role. Based on my experience, this is why I think I'd be a good fit. But look, do you have a few minutes to chat to see if you think I'd be a good fit too? John and every other hiring manager in the world is going to give you those few minutes because no one's approaching them like this. And why are they going to give you those few minutes? Because they want people that have that sales mindset. They want people that did the research beforehand. They want people that come ridiculously prepared to the application process. And so right off the bat, John's thinking, holy cow, this guy knows my whole team. This guy knows who our customers are. They know why our customers buy from us already. I'm trying to teach my existing reps these things, and this guy already knows it. Wow. Yeah, definitely going to talk to this guy because we need to fill that role fast. So now you're going to book a meeting with John, and in that meeting, you're going to have a quick 10-minute discussion, and John's going to say, you know what, Andrew, I do think you'd be a good fit. Why don't we get you started in the interview process? Can you please go formally apply, and I'll have the recruiter reach out to you and make sure that you get on the calendar next week for an interview. Deal? Deal. You just got your first interview with John. Now, if you want to interview like a pro, you're going to reach back out to these champions that you built, the future peers, and you're going to ask them to help you prepare for these interviews. But one of the things you should be doing is practicing the top 5 questions, which is, tell me about yourself. Why are you getting into sales or why tech sales? Why this company? And why you? Why should we consider you? You have no sales experience. And then finally, what is your plan to succeed in this role? You should have answers to these top 5 questions. And I would consider, I teach all the people in our program to have a bank of answers, right? So have a bank of answers to the tell me about yourself question. And then of that bank, there's maybe 5 or 6 answers. And then you pull the top 2 or 3 out, okay? And all of this requires a lot of practice. Be very, very good at interviews, guys. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is probably the most important part of the entire process. You must be good at interviews. You have to practice. And then finally, the follow-up. Follow-up after every meeting with future peers and with people you interview with. It's a little gesture that goes a long way. I think the best follow-up method is a video message on LinkedIn. If you aren't memorable, by definition, you are forgettable. Be memorable. Send a video message on LinkedIn when you follow up saying, quick 20 seconds, hey John, thanks for meeting with me. I know you're busy. I know you're looking for the best reps on your team, and I'm honored that you would choose or consider me for this position. I'm really looking forward to continuing the interview process and the potential to work with you and your team in the future. Thanks again. And all right, guys, this is the ways you're going to be able to go out and get a job at a highly sought after job in tech sales, even if you have 0 sales experience. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Go to our website, Andrew. My email is andrew@arena.vet, or go to arena.vet to learn more about the things we do to help people break into tech sales. Cool. See you guys.